In this recording, we're going to be looking at GoTalkNow, an app on the iPad that supports student communication. We'll go ahead and open it up. And we're going to start with the edit screen. So this is the splash screen for the edit screen, and it's where you can set up what kind of display you want your student to have. There are some downloads that are available under the core words. You can add books that have been pre-designed with 4 core words, 9 core words, etc., all the way up to 36 core words. So one of the beauties of GoTalkNow is that it can start with a single button on a screen, and it can also have multiple buttons all the way up to 36 buttons. And even within a student's file, you can vary those numbers on the pages, the number of buttons on the pages, to suit your needs. Right now on mine, I have loaded 16 core words enhanced, and that is again a model vocabulary, but it can also be edited for the customized needs of your students. And you can tell I have 16 core words enhanced loaded by the bottom of the screen there, where it tells me what is going on. Also on this screen where we find the splash, we have the players. I have the page editor, the settings, my downloads, and then help. So, and you can see there's a cloud backup so that you can back up your vocabularies, which is very helpful because GoTalkNow does tend to be more highly customized than some of the other vocabularies. Let's look at the settings. On the settings, there's a lot of things that you can control. So, such as when we move into the player, you're going to see a lot of buttons on the bottom of the screen that allow for different ways to navigate, and sometimes that is a bit overwhelming to a user. So you might want to turn some of those off so that the screen isn't constantly moving away when the student is trying to communicate. You can see that I have my right and left navigation buttons turned off. I have my home button turned on because I need to be able to get to the home screen. I turned off my back button. I turned on the jump to button, and I'll explain that to you when we get into the actual player. The quick button is turned off. The 3-finger swipe is turned off. And the function of the home button action is to go to the first page of the vocabulary. The player settings has to do with when it's going to, how it's going to respond to touch. So the top part is the actual buttons that perform the action, and then the player settings are how it's going to respond to the touch. So you can see that we can have it grow the button during the playback, which is kind of a magnification so that the individual has a higher saliency of what they've activated. The left and right navigation for swiping, which I had turned off up at the top, prevent the device from going to sleep, and etc. So you can read all those yourself. When you look at the type of button, the type of touch for button activation, mine is set to activate when the touch comes up, so on the release. But if you look at that, you can see you can activate it when the touch goes down or when the touch is released. The difference is that a student who maybe has some motor problems, and when they touch down, it might not be in the exact correct place that they wanted to activate. They can slide their finger over and then hit the button that they wanted, and then lift their finger, and it's going to say that button. That it's going to say that message. Auditory cues are used for those students who are low vision mostly, but could be used for other reasons as well. But it's going to give a partial message that the individual listener, or the community, that's a prompt for the communicator. And then we have also to skip the empty auditory cues so that they don't accidentally activate a button that doesn't have anything in it. So those are some of the things that you can see in the player settings. In the accessibility, we have debounce, and that has to do again with that irregular touch that someone might have. And so if they needed to sustain their touch for a period of time, you could mark that time period. And then there are some settings for scanning users. So those who do not direct access, there is volume boost for individuals with hearing impairments. There are other different kinds of express messaging that you can add in. And then, of course, we have the voices and things like that. So there's a lot of settings that can be adjusted that can take this program from being not helpful and not accessible to being very useful for a child. And then we have the page editor. So when you are wanting to edit a page, and here we have the page editor also. So when you're wanting to edit a page, you tap on that button and it's going to bring up the home screen, but you can navigate within your book by touching on the stacks of papers here on the right side of the home and choosing a page and then editing that page as well. So you don't have to be on the page in order to, when you turn on the edit button, you're going to automatically open into the home screen and then use the other controls to navigate through to the page that you want to edit. Now, while we're here, we can also look at these editing controls that are on the bottom of the page. Let me move my keyboard back down. And as we go over to the left, you see the little slider icon there, and I'm going to tap on that, and you can see that for each page, you're able to choose the background color of the page. So this is blue, and you can see very thin blue background around these buttons. You can go from 1 to 49 buttons, and you can see this is set to 16. You can tell it about the auditory cues, whether they're enabled or not, all these different, and then the express page and other settings. So there's things that you can adjust within the page right there on your slider, and then to begin your edit. So if we were going to edit a button, let's just say we were going to edit the button, and I'm going to choose the train button since that's there. When we have these, when we bring up a button that we might want to edit, you can see we have the across the top actions, auditory cues, after actions. So that's basically, the action is what you want the button to do when you touch it. The auditory cue is what a person is going to hear when they are basically scrolling over the button to see if that's the one that they want. Again, useful mostly for individuals with vision impairment. What happens after you activate the button is in this gold, and then on the bottom part is how you format the button. So you see the background color, the border, the button text. You can add an image, and then of course when you're finished you hit done. So if we were to right now activate this button in the player, it would say the word train based on the fact that it's doing text to speech. And we can listen to it.
Train.
And hear the voice that's being used, and we know that it's going to say the word train. There's no auditory cue. We have auditory cueing turned off. And after the action, it's going to jump to a specific page, and that page is going to be back to the home screen. So you can see that there. If we wanted to adjust that page, we would hit the set, and we would tell it which page we wanted it to go, or choose one of those other commands. And then again, on the bottom, the background, we could choose a color like purple, or we could choose a color from the color picker and choose, maybe we want it to be red, and we could turn red, or we could turn yellow for a student with CVA, so, or CVI. So there's different things that you can do, but we're just gonna go back and keep it white for now. The border of the button, again, if you have a student who's low vision and you want to have a border that is darker maybe to highlight that, you could do that. See how that accentuates the button. Or you can go back to just, the regular border. The button text is adjusted here for both font size and for the color of the text and for what is actually written in the text. So to change what's written, you just tap in there and type in what you want it to say. The images can be taken from the GoTalk image library, which is on their device already. You can do an internet search. You can take a picture. You can already have a picture stored on your device. And you can add different image libraries. So there's a variety of ways that you can add a picture into your communication device to make it meaningful for the child. And then when you get the button all fixed up the way that you want it to do, you hit done, and there you go. So you can see my gray border there. You can see the ball next to it has no border. I'm going to go ahead and adjust that border back again to white so that it looks like the other ones. And then we're all done. And so it's ready to go, and then we're ready to use the player. And now I'm going to tap the house, and I'm going to tap player, and here is my book. And when I hit the jump, I can go to the play page. Oh, it was toy page, excuse me. The toy page, there's a train. And it says train, and then it goes back to the home screen. See, down at the bottom, home. So it works just the way that we want it. So I hope that this has been helpful and that you are able to customize your vocabulary. If you need assistance, just give me a call or send me an email at eileengarza@tomballisd.net. Thanks.